He was a loving person, but he was almost like a little kid to me. We had almost a 6-year gap between us.
Gauri Gupta sometimes can't believe her little brother isn't coming home. Govind Kant travelled from Australia to India in April for their mother's funeral. He could only book a one-way ticket and tried to book the return leg as soon as he landed.
He was a bit surprised that there are no flights. He was a bit scared as well. I remember him saying that how am I going to get back home?
For Govind, Australia's arrival cap wasn't the only challenge. He also faced restrictions on flights from India.
Our fears were confirmed when he tested positive, but then before that, my dad tested positive.
Govind's positive COVID test meant he couldn't board the flight he'd finally secured. He died shortly after, at age 47.
I sometimes feel as well that he's just going to knock on my door because he was so young and he was absolutely fit when he left.
Australia's official death toll stands at 934 lives lost, but there's been a hidden toll of Aussies who have died from the virus abroad. In data obtained by 730 using Freedom of Information laws, the Foreign Affairs Department says by mid-May it knew of 54 Australian citizens who had lost their lives to the virus offshore. It's understood that 3 of those who died had been registered with the department as seeking assistance to return to Australia.
I think it's absolutely horrific because it is not just the 54 Australians who we have lost. What about all the impact on their families who are left here? And that is it's like a life sentence for them as well. It's like a living hell.
I think they show the most severe consequence of the Australian government not doing all that it can on behalf of its citizens.
States and territories will be quarantining all arrivals through our airports, in hotels.
Since last March, the ability of Australians to get home has been limited by the availability of quarantine beds. The weekly cap on arrivals has fluctuated. At times, it's been under 4,000 people a week. On other occasions, more than 7,000.
Since mid-November, we've had a leak in hotel quarantine every 9 days on average. Now, we could avoid that. If you make those improvements, you can increase the number of people coming into the system.
While hotels remain the backbone of the quarantine system, the federal government has promised to expand the outdoor facility at Howard Springs near Darwin, along with funding a similar facility for Victoria.
Ultimately, the federal government has the capacity, if it wanted to prioritise bringing Australians home. It could have set up quarantine stations around the country, invested in construction and infrastructure.
Citizenship lawyer Kim Rubenstein helped prepare a legal challenge to the United Nations on behalf of 2 stranded Australians. There's no final decision yet, but the tribunal urged the government to allow them to come home.
The committee was saying a right to live in your own country is so significant that any question mark about a breach of that should be acted on immediately.
Foreign Affairs officials have recorded Australian COVID deaths in 27 foreign countries. These nations include Indonesia to our north, India, which has seen more than 30 million infections, France and the United Kingdom, along with the United States, which has the world's highest case count, and Peru, which has the worst coronavirus death rate globally.
One group were the countries like the US, UK, the Netherlands, where there are a lot of Australians. There are others where there are very high case rates and not terribly good health systems.
The Foreign Minister, Maurice Payne, was unavailable for an interview, but the federal government says more than 600,000 Australians have returned since March last year. More than 30,000 Australians abroad are currently registered as wanting to return.
Please bring back all the Australian citizens back home because they're just desperate to get back. It's long enough now, I think.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.